Welcome to One Brooklyn, presented by Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. On this edition of One Brooklyn, Brooklyn Borough President Adams joins with Citi-Bike, Lyft, and local community groups to unveil the new Citi-Bike Station at the Broadway Junction Transit Hub. The new station, unveiled at a ribbon-cutting ceremony, is one of 85 that transportation officials and Citi-Bike are planning to add to better connect to more than 24 neighborhoods across Brooklyn, the Bronx, Manhattan, and Queens. The expansion will bring stations into many underserved communities, including Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brownsville, Crown Heights, and many more. Earlier this year, Brooklyn Borough President Adams called for more transportation equality around the Broadway Junction Transit Hub. But organizations are using the rideshare program for more than just simple transportation.
Well, so when we give someone a member ID card to get our insurance, we can only control 20% of their health care, but 80% is due to other factors like education, income, how healthy they are. And so we need these partnerships with Citi-Bike so that our members get access to cheaper transportation and then physical activity, which makes them more healthier. And we're actually partnering with doctors, too, to prescribe a bike. So if a doctor meets a patient and says you need more physical activity, they'll actually prescribe a bike and they can get access to a Citi-Bike to ride. So it's a great partnership.
I am the founder of Totality of a Woman. We are a mental health and wellness organization based in Brooklyn. We actually partnered with Citi-Bike last month for our first ride for mental health in Prospect Park, which was a ride to basically bring more awareness to mental health, to mental illness, trauma, and the increasing rate of suicide. So basically, a bicycle became a vehicle and a tool for self-care, a tool to encourage wellness in a holistic way as a form of exercise. So having more bike shares, having more $5 a month bike shares available for underserved communities allows us to push our efforts forward to encourage mental health and wellness in communities throughout Brooklyn.
Citi-Bike, now owned by Lyft, is at an all-time ridership high and growing in New York City. In September, Citi-Bike had its busiest month ever, with more than 2.5 million riders. Borough President Adams held a ribbon-cutting ceremony and a press conference at the Citi-Bike's newest station.
Thank you so much, and we are really excited to be out in East New York today, particularly for all the advocates that we have been talking about the expansion of Citi-Bike program, not only to the downtown areas or the business district, but how do you get out to the East New Yorks and Brownsville and South Jamaica, Queens, and other parts of the city? Bike riding and bike sharing is something that we all could benefit from, and so to all our advocates, we want to say thank you. And to these brand new, shiny 2020 Citi-Bikes, so we want to just thank those who are part of this initiative and part of this partnership. Of course, Citi-Bikes, we have become so used to seeing these blue and white bikes throughout our city. DOT, an amazing job of expansion and living up to their commitment. Lyft and their participation, Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Corporation, Health First. We believe in Brooklyn. We would like to always put our health first. Riseboro, a great partnership on so many initiatives. TA, Transportation Alternative, they were the visionaries for so many years talking about the importance of Safe Street. Bike New York is here as well, and just so many partners that are part of this initiative. So today is Citi-Bike's expansion to areas such as Bushwick, East New York, Ridgewood, and other areas that historically have been ignored when you talk about bike safety and biking, and we're changing that today. When you look at the fleet currently of Citi-Bike bikes in the city, we have over 13,000 bikes with 800 stations. This was unheard of, and when we first planted the first seed of biking, people thought it was impossible, but it has caught on like wildfire as people are encouraged about the benefits of helping our environment, about the healthy biker, about relieving congestion. This is a win-win-win, and we're excited about it. Over the next 5 years, Citi-Bike will double its current service area with over 26,000, but actually they're going to triple in the next 5 years to 40,000 bikes in this city. So it's extremely important what we're doing today. This is part of the expansion. You see the new dock and the new ribbon cutting that we're going to do. But it also highlights another area about bike infrastructure. As many of us are aware, we had 27 cyclists have been killed in traffic crashes this year, including 17 in Brooklyn. We have become ground zero for traffic accidents, or traffic crashes, I should say, and we want to see that stop. That's almost 3 times the amount of cyclists killed last year, almost 3 times the amount. So we're not moving towards Vision Zero, we're moving away from it, and that needs to stop, and that is why we're advocating for more safer infrastructure. 2019 is on track to be the deadliest year for cyclist deaths in over 2 decades. Most of those deaths have occurred in economically challenging communities like East New York, and that's why we're here today, and it's really to renew our calls for places like Brownsville in East New York to have safe biking infrastructure. Wherever biking comes, infrastructure follows. That's the significance of the moment, that we know if we continue to expand out to new communities, we know the infrastructure must follow. And we're calling for all of our communities to benefit for the new infrastructure that's taking place. And so we're taking proactive steps, and the DOT is doing an amazing job. The DOT announced they would adjust traffic signals to give bikes the priority for green lights, which is so important. Those of us who ride, we know how important it is. Bikers travel between 10 to 15 miles an hour, where vehicles travel 25 miles an hour, and in far too many cases, people who drive are speeding throughout the city. So it's important that we allow bikers to have this extra edge as they move throughout the cities, and pedestrians that cross the street from time to time. So we're setting our goal of installing 30 miles of protected bike lanes per year and redesign our streets with high priority intersections. So this is a great win for us all, and we just want to really thank all of the advocates who are here. A little chilly, but we're warm at heart because we have a new docking station here in East New York, Brooklyn, and we're excited about that. So we want to call on a few of our sponsors as they make brief remarks.
Hey everyone, I'm Caroline Sampanero. I oversee our bike share programs at Lyft across the country. We're so proud to be a partner to the City of New York. Thank you, Borough President Adams, for your leadership always on biking, bike infrastructure, bike share. Equity is central to the expansion of Citi-Bike that we are partnering with the New York City Department of Transportation to implement over the next 5 years. This is a very symbolic and important moment. This station here at Broadway Junction is at a hub for all sorts of public transportation in the borough of Brooklyn. We are finally putting the E in bike share, the equity in bike share, by focusing our expansion on closing transportation gaps, connecting neighborhoods that haven't had access to bike share before, and making sure that all communities across the 5 boroughs get to benefit from this. I also want to give a special thank you to Health First, our partner on our reduced fare bike share membership program, a $5 membership that low-income New Yorkers can access to use Citi-Bike in their regular commutes. We're really fortunate to have this partnership, and also to have the leadership of our partners like Tracy Capers at Best Eye Restoration Corporation, who has pioneered the importance of equity in bike share programs and has made it possible for us to have the reduced fare bike share membership option.
Honor and privilege of being in press conferences with the borough president for bike share, and my work is around economic mobility. But I took the Lyft here, so this is very appropriate, and I'm going to bike back. So thank you for having me. But so restoration has been a privilege and honor to come to this moment, and it's really been a long time in coming. So restoration was an early adopter of this effort over 5.5 years ago. We were somewhat hesitant at first, but we were early adopter one nonetheless. Restoration's mission, if you don't know, is to relentlessly pursue strategies to close gaps in family and community wealth to ensure all families are prosperous and prosperous and healthy. So like initially we had a hard time understanding how does Citi-Bike fit into this, right? But we quickly realized that, economic equity has a lot to do with getting around your neighborhood, getting to work, getting healthy, getting to church, getting to your friend's house. So that's how we got involved. And it's really been a labor of love over the last, over 5 years. And what we did was we started a bike share partnership, as Carolyn mentioned, and we really started to build acceptance for bike share. We led over 100 rides, had community events. We helped to push, the concept, such that we now have affordable pricing, this $5 a month bike share membership for public housing recipients as well as SNAP recipients. So we're really excited. We're also a part of an effort where we help to give community grants. And we were a part of countless press conferences and testimonies and events like this one. So it's so exciting to be at this time, where bike share some time ago was like, I felt like the prevalent concept was not in my backyard and what is this? And now, many years later, it's normative and transformative. And so I'm really excited about what's going to happen next now that bike share is in more neighborhoods, because that's what equity is about, being accessible to all. And what I really want this bike share to be about is really having the communities really benefit from it truly, not just being on the bikes, getting healthy from the bike, getting the economic benefits from the bike, and other opportunities. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much. And from my good friend from Riseboro, Scott Short.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for coming out in the cold. I'm Scott Short, the CEO of Riseboro Community Partnership, and Riseboro has been working in Bushwick and East New York and the communities of Central Brooklyn, North Brooklyn for over 4 decades, empowering people to put themselves on the paths to economic mobility and social mobility. And we believe that transportation mobility is a key component of that path. For me personally, there's no more empowering feeling than the wind in your face riding on a bike. I'm an avid biker. My 2 daughters are avid bikers, and so any effort to make this city a fairer and safer place for bikes is one that I'm standing behind and one that Riseboro is proud to be a part of. So thanks again to the Borough President, to Lyft,
really critical.
and to
We
Citi-Bike
hope this
for
station
making this possible.
is a herald
And let's keep
for a
expanding.
great set of new protected bike lanes here in this neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods. The city now has some pretty good plans on paper for a citywide network of really safe bike lanes, but we still have to do it. So Bike New York really looks forward to working with all of you, all of the Citi-Bike partners and the elected officials throughout the city to make sure that we have safe places to ride bikes in every corner of town. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, last speaker is Stephanie Carnegie, Totality of a Woman. Stephanie?
Good morning, and thank you guys. I'll be very brief. I am probably the newest community partner for Citi-Bike and Lyft. My name is Stephanie Carnegie. I am the founder of Totality of a Woman. We are a Brooklyn-based organization that focuses on mental health and wellness, bringing more awareness to mental illness, to trauma, to the alarming rate of suicide that is happening in underserved communities. And so we had the opportunity last month to partner with Citi-Bike and Lyft for our very first ride for mental health that took place in Prospect Park. So what happened is that the bike ended up becoming a tool and a vehicle and a resource for us to spread more awareness and encourage fitness and bike riding as a form of holistic wellness in underserved communities, particularly in communities of color, for those who lack the tools and the resources sometimes to deal with mental health issues such as depression and anxiety. Currently, 1 in 5 people suffer from a mental illness. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for adolescents ages 10 through 18. And so for us, it's about providing our communities that don't have the tools and the resources that they need to deal with issues like this. And so to see that Citi-Bike is expanding and Lyft is expanding with more bike stations, and especially the share ride for New York City housing and for participants of SNAP to be able to ride for $5 a month. What that does for organizations like myself is to be able to continue to help us encourage wellness in these communities. A simple bike ride becomes exercise. A simple bike ride becomes a time for self-care, a time to deal with mental stress and to deal with health issues and things of that nature. So we are very excited to be able to partner with Lyft. We're very excited to see the expansions in communities like Bedford-Stuyvesant and here right now in East New York. And we are very honored to also have the support of Eric Adams. We always say the borough president, but he is definitely soon to be our next mayor of New York City, who also joined us last month in Prospect Park and shared some very powerful words. So I thank you guys again, and I look forward to seeing more of these bike shares in more of our communities. Remember, self-care is a lifestyle. Nurture your mental health. Thank you.
Well said, well said. Thank you so much. Well said. And it's really, you know, I hope it did not go unnoticed of how the coalition and the partnership that is coming together using bike share as a way of not only sharing transportation, but sharing of how do we integrate our communities on the whole. Health first, totality of a woman, the DOT, Riseboro, all of these organizations, Best Eye Restoration, the coalition of groups that are behind me is like, how do we break down those barriers and not have our own independent sandboxes, but how do we play in one sandbox to build the castle, a place we call Brooklyn, and how this borough continue to rise above the levels where we were before, of dealing with issues of depression, of health, transportation, all of these barriers to improving our lives. I'm excited about this new bike share program and docking station that's here. It is not only the start of transportation here in the East New York area, but it's the start of really building the bridges we need to build a greater transportation network, greater communication network, a greater health network, a greater Brooklyn on the whole. So thank you all for coming out. I'm excited about the future. Thank you. Ribbon cutting?